Introducing the D'Addario Auto Lock, made with locking strap ends for an easy-to-use, clip-on system. When you're done, just pull the latch and slide it off. Keep your guitar on lock with D'Addario Auto Lock.
All right, that's Nick Perri, folks, waking up the dead with this beautiful Firebird and his magical playing. Nick, how you doing?
I'm doing really well, man. Thank you for having me, and thank you for the kind words.
Oh, that was fantastic. I not only were you working the instrument, but you're bringing out the ghost with that feedback.
I do what I can.
I think that's a perfect place to start because if anyone's familiar with you, which I'm sure they are, you're an avid gearhead, but you're also flying that Firebird flag, and you've done that ever since your days in Silvertide. I know you with the black one, so tell me about the cherry one you got here.
Sure. That is a true statement. I got into birds pretty early, big Johnny Winter fan, and so from an early age, I was definitely rocking the bird. But then I went a long period of time without one, and this is actually a pretty recent acquisition. This is a 1976 bicentennial Firebird, Gibson Firebird, and like I said, I got it not too long ago, but it was one of those situations where as I was putting my hand into the case to pick it up, before it was even in my lap, plugged in or anything, the moment I had my hand on the neck, I knew it was my guitar. And it was like, I don't know, like the Harry Potter thing where the wand chooses you.
Yeah.
The guitar chose me, and it was one of those things. For me, a guitar is just always about how it feels in your hands, more than anything, you know? Mm-hmm. Even more than the sound. It has to feel right. It has to be like an extension of you. It's such an intimate thing, and when you're playing and when you're performing and when you're writing, at least from my perspective, I never really want to be thinking about playing or writing. I just want to be doing it, if that makes sense. So the guitar has to be like this kind of symbiotic, relationship with the player, I think. And so from the moment that I put it in my hand, I was like, yeah, this is my guitar. So from that moment, this has just been in my hands ever since. I acquired it after the new album was done, so it's not on the new album, but I would imagine it's going to be on pretty much everything going forward for quite a while.
Have you done anything to the guitar to make it more your own, or is it still as it came out of the case?
Very good question. Actually, pretty much nothing is original except for the wood, the neck and the body, which is beautiful and unbroken and in good shape, and the pickguard is original, but everything else has been changed. When it came to me, it was actually like rescued. The gentleman who sold it to me, Jason Roberts, who's a friend, he ended up rescuing the guitar and got it pretty much stripped down and bare. So funny enough, he had put Tyson tone pickups in it, and as you'll see with the rest of my guitars, I play Tyson tone pickups pretty much exclusively, so they're in all my guitars. It already had them in there, and he wound these Firebird pickups to be basically like mini PAFs which was right up my alley. So that was another thing when he told me about the shape that the guitar was in that made me want to dive in. But typically, when I get a guitar, again, there are exceptions. Sometimes guitars are just so perfect as is, you never want to mess with it ever. But I'm a compulsive modder and a tweaker, and a lot of times I'm always looking for those little percentage points of making something potentially better. So kind of my go-to routine is that I do Tyson tone pickups, pigtail hardware, and I try to put as much vintage electronics in caps. So for example, these have real Sprock capacitors from the 50s in it, and I do that with all my guitars. Again, I'm just tweaking, and sometimes if I think like, okay, the neck is a little dark, I'll raise the value of the volume pot. So let's say if it's a 480 and it's a little dark, you can put a 520 in there, get a little bit of extra brightness. Geeky stuff like that most people don't care about, but to me it's part of the experience, and I like to say that I turn over every stone on every guitar until, perhaps it's their best voice that's speaking, and that's what I'm looking for. And usually when it's done, I'm like, okay, I know it's done, and then I'm not going to touch it.